put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates. I am Adanna Combie, as you know, and we are going to have conversations right now with our friends from the T.T.P.S, who usually come to bring us updates as to what is happening in and around Tobago. And we're speaking, of course, with Sergeant Joseph Jordan. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to your viewing and listening audience. Thanks for having me and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service
That's right.
this morning.
So, of course, you know, we always want to know what is happening in and around Tobago in our space because we want to ensure that we are aware of what is happening and what measures are in place to keep us safe.
Well, as we often know, whenever I come to the table, I would provide an update as to what is taking place, right? So our usual statistical aspect. So we were going to look at our January 1st to September 30th, and the 2 years we are comparing 2022 versus 2023. So our serious report crimes in 2022, we had a total of 556 serious report crimes. Whilst in 2023, we would have recorded 513 serious report crimes. The detection rate for 2023 stands at 34%. However, in 2022, that detection rate would have been 43%. We have seen a decline in our detection rate. However, when compared to the both years, however, we have seen a steady increase of our detection rate throughout the year 2023, because we started in the mid-20s and we are now averaging 34%. There's also a decline in the serious report crimes of 8%. Now, these figures are not just figures just for quoting sake, but it has shown that where the police continue to do their work and working in partnership with the community, we are able to deal with some of the troubling crimes. As it relates to the crimes that have been affecting us most significantly are what we call property crimes, and these crimes and property crimes and general larceny. And the property crimes is basically people stealing stuff, breaking into people's homes, whilst whilst general larceny would refer to things like leaving here, as I often use the brush cutter. You know, that is one of our most common things, right? Some of your tools that you may be using lying around. We know that we have had a little challenge with murders in particular. So we recently would have recorded a death of a young lady in the Crown Point district. Now, our murder figure stands at 9 and not 10 as was previously quoted or quoted by some media houses. And that is to say, the suspect in that matter on last Friday was released pending further inquiries. So the DPP office would have given us instructions that that matter needs to go for what we call a coroner or an inquest. And what that simply means is that there was not sufficient evidence to bring the charge of a homicide or a murder. So that will be classified as an unnatural death. So as it relates to our statistics in Tobago, our figure remains at 9 and not 10. I see you are smiling. You have a question. You can go ahead.
Yeah, become an unnatural death. Just a little bit of explanation where that is concerned.
All right. So I will just use a kind of comparison. So where we would have like when we classify things as well, homicides. And homicides, there are a number of classifications ranging from suicide, murder, manslaughter, these things. And unnatural death is one where there is no malice. It was not intentional. It wasn't deliberate. You didn't have the guilty mind or the guilty conscience to commit the crime. So when these things happen, as a matter of fact, those are some of the ingredients that would bring about the charge of murder and other offenses. So you have to be deliberate in your act, and you have to be deliberate in your mind. You have got to plan it and execute it. So that is when when instances when those two ingredients are not met, we deem these things as unnatural death, and it is further left for the court through a coroner or an inquest to find out if there was any crime really being committed at the point of that offense.
Okay, I take you at your word. We also want to talk about, of course, we're discussing today demanding money by menace,
Yes.
right? And I mean, it's something that we really have to deal with in our society today. So I want you to tell us exactly what it means, because for some people, we might be trying to figure out demanding money by menace. What exactly does that mean? And what do we do as citizens to prevent ourselves from being, for lack of a better term, bullied into giving up our monies
Right. And
through menace?
and I like your word when you use the word bully. No, demanding money by menace is actually is actually an offense on our law book. When we look at our larceny act, chapter 11, 12, section 31, 32, 33, 34 speaks of these things. And in particular, under section 32, it basically indicates that you are any person who demands or threatens to take money from you is or undertake something from you as well is committing the act of larceny. And that penalty is 5 years. Right? There are other ways that people may threaten to take things from you, whether it be property, cash, and those carry penalties as much as 15 years. Now, I would go to I would use a simple explanation as relates to the demanding money by menace. We often hear sometimes businesses paying taxes and not legal taxes. So sometimes you're operating within an environment and the person is still, and there are entities or the criminal entities within that area say, well, right, the boss, I hear you have a big contract. So you know you had to give you something. So 5% of that is mine. So these are the simple terms that defines demanding money by menace. And it happens a lot in our society. Some persons are, and when it do happen, some persons are afraid to come forward. So you operate in your little shop, and ever so often, a man come in and make groceries and he ain't paying. So you might claim a life for protection. But whilst indeed you are afraid, they are instilling fear in you, and you are actually losing out of your profit, because you have every $10 you make, you might have to pay $3 or $4 out of that. And these are some of the things that happens within our society. And in particular, this crime or these instances affect business and persons who are doing contracts.
Yes, and you said it instills fear in you, and it makes you not just fear for your life, but also fear for not even wanting to own or run or operate a business. Because if I am running my business, I'm working hard, right? I'm investing my time and my resources into the operations of my business. I have bills to pay. I have staff to pay. I have to maintain the runnings of the business. And here I am having to give somebody a tax. Because they are protecting me from whom, right? And what do I do to protect myself from this person who is a menace to my business?
Right. So one of the first things that we would encourage, the first time it happened, you make a report. You come to the police. Let us address it. Because what we find happening is that persons wait so long to address that matter that it becomes a normal part of their operational business. And by that time, there's almost little that you feel that you can do. So one, you need to report it to the police. Another means is that when you have your businesses, you need to have certain safety mechanisms in place. The way you deposit your money. Most importantly, the people that you employ. Because many of the times, the persons who you employ, they will be aware of your cash flow. They may be aware of how your goods and services are being supplied. And they of themselves can operate with outside elements, knowing the time and place in which your goods and services
but
are
how do
being
you intercept that? Because at the same point in time, you can't walk around not trusting anybody.
No.
I mean, so it's very difficult. There must be some other measure that you can put in place, because if I engage somebody in my business, is somebody who I've had conversations with, somebody who I trust, somebody who I've taught the whole operations of the business, so I can, if I want to go on a vacation or a holiday or I have an emergency, I can't be at the business place today or tomorrow, and this person is running the operations. What measures can I put in place to ensure that this person, I might have 90% trust in them, but what do I do for the 10% where I'm thinking they might be doing something, menacing to my business?
Well, as I just said, we may not be able to trust someone 100%, but however, this is where background checks will come into place. You need to know your employee. You need to know everything as much as possible about them, and they must operate within the terms and conditions of your business. So, if you were to go on a vacation, as you indicated, that you should have that person trust to know that they would operate your business in the best way, and it is imperative that we pay attention to the people we employ. Not only doing the background check, because sometimes the background check may not reveal all the information that you want to know about this person. So sometimes you might have to talk to a neighbor, talk to a schoolmate who know the personality of these persons to avoid these persons being a negative impact on your entity.
And at the same point in time, also you do all these background checks, and this person, they check out quite clear, but then there's some kind of influence that says, hey.
Well, and this is where the aspect of, if we're going back to the main topic, this is where the aspect of demanding money by Menace, because you and I in a business. It's your business, right? I'm a good employee, doing well. However, the outside or the negative element of saying, well, you know what, I could get to Miss Combie by going through Sergeant Jordan. So they started threatening me, started make my life uncomfortable. Sometimes they may involve threatening your family. And so now I come in with you now with a story in order. So all these are means and ways in which people can demand money, not only money, but other entities of your business through threats and even indirect threats, I should say, because persons cannot be trusted, and we have to put our trust in somebody to some extent.
I think we need to have a conversation on how do we intercept, because it is something, unfortunately, that exists. It is something, it's a culture that seems to be growing. So there must be a conversation about how do we intercept this type of behavior. I know you mentioned earlier reporting it. If somebody comes to you to report it, but do I feel safe after? Because after I report it to the police now goes to the Menace. And of course, the Menace will be like, I'm telling her to go to the police. And
all these things.
so now you feel, your insecurities build even more. You become more uncomfortable. You feel unsafe. So how, we need to discuss how we're going to put things in place to ensure that the proprietor, the business owner, the home owner, that they are safe and comfortable in their property and the things that belong to them.
And it's a holistic approach to your safety. So we're going back to things like the basic safety mechanism, CCTV coverage, as I said, employee background checks. Sometimes we talk about how your business is structured. You do not have all your windows tinted. You create some level of visibility, so that if something has happened within your business, persons from the outside can see. So you need to also be aware as to the security code of your building. Because all these are little things that is going to add value to you securing your premises, avoiding persons threatening you, and becoming in more harmony with your community, your police, and your business community.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Sergeant Joseph Jordan. We're talking about demanding money by Menace. We're talking about protecting your property and the measures we have to put in place to ensure that we are safe, be your brother's keeper, and watch out for each other. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for staying with us here on the morning show on Tobago Updates. And we are going to go right now over into Tobago Notes. And we ask you to continue view us, because right after Tobago Notes, we're going into Good Morning Tobago, which is GMT. So stay with us, and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. This is Adanna Combie, and we'll see you soon.